Greetings to everyone. My name is David Triana. I am the host of Making Connections, the interview show, and I am joined by my co-host, Kismet Melendez, who was not in the last one because she was in Puerto Rico. Before we go to Kismet, let me tell you a little bit about Making Connections, our interview show. It is produced by Connection Media Group, which is the main company that we have. And Connection Media Group, in addition to doing this wonderful Making Connections interview show, we also are the publishers of the largest Spanish and English publication in all of Northwest Florida and Southern Alabama. We distribute Conexión monthly, from Tallahassee all the way to Mobile, where Kismet is our primary representative, and points south of Mobile like Foley and Robertsdale and all those places. And we also do some wonderful events, multicultural events like the International Festival in Fort Walton Beach. We do business networking activities. We're going to be talking here about our Panama City event that we had here on the 21st of June in Panama City, the Hispanics and Friends Linked Business Networking Activity. It was awesome. Vamos a hablar un poquito acerca de eso en unos minutos aquí con nuestra amiga Kismet. Entonces, estamos haciendo muchas cosas. Make sure you follow us on Facebook. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like us. I'm still not in what's that other one called? ¿Cómo se llama esas que no me gusta, Kismet?
El TikTok, el Instagram.
TikTok. No TikTok for Connection Media Group yet. Kismet is in TikTok, all over TikTok, so that's okay. She can do that. TikTok for Kismet, influencer. Pero bueno, vamos a hablar aquí con nuestra co-host, amiga Kismet Meléndez, que nos acompaña en nuestro programa. Kismet, how are you doing today? Practice your English. How are you doing today?
Hi, how are you doing? Good, and you?
Doing great, doing great. Oye, so me dejaste solo. You left me all by myself in the last show when I interviewed Tatiana Diaz, Miss Florida, America. También vamos a hablar acerca de Tatiana porque la vamos a traer y tú vas a ser la que va a andar trayéndola por todos lados. Cuéntanos, pues, ¿por qué no nos acompañaste la última vez? Why were you not on the show? I know you were somewhere else. ¿Dónde estabas?
How you doing, everybody? Pues, and go to the Puerto Rico, my vacation. Only one half week, ¿no? Solamente estuve una semana y media en mi isla del encanto. Mira aquí la bandera que me destaca.
Excelente. Oye, ¿y qué parte específicamente andabas allá? Porque la gente sepa de dónde eres, de qué parte de la bella isla del encanto.
Pues soy de la bella isla del encanto y en realidad soy del área, le decimos metropolitana. Me crié en Caimito, Guaynabo, Puerto Rico, y también en San Juan, Puerto Rico. Siempre he estado en el área metro, pero mi isla del encanto es maravillosa y hermosa. Puerto Rico is beautiful island.
Bueno, pues qué bueno que estás de vuelta. Llegaste bien, sana y salva, como decimos, ¿no? Aquí en lo latino. ¿Cómo te pueden contactar a ti, Kismet, para que la gente se dé cuenta de lo que estás haciendo allá por el área móvil y también por Pensacola y todo lo demás?
Pues claro que sí, pues como ustedes saben y me conocen, mi nombre es Kismet Meléndez y asimismo me puedes conseguir en las plataformas de Facebook, Instagram y TikTok, y también tengo un canal de YouTube channel, todo como Kismet Meléndez, y mi identidad sin fin de lucro lo puedes conseguir en Facebook como Community Services. My name is Kismet Meléndez, is President and Fundador for Hispanic Community Services, Low Profit and Influencer Marketing. Así que follow me en Facebook, Kismet Meléndez, and en Instagram, TikTok and YouTube channel.
Excelente, gracias por la información. En la sección de eventos venideros, que ahorita va a venir más tarde, te voy a contar una historia que me sucedió anoche.
Okay.
Es un ejemplo específico de la importancia de la cadena, de las conexiones.
Claro.
Te va a gustar, ¿ok? Ahorita hablamos de eso. Entonces vamos a volver.
Connection Media Group.
We're going to take a break and come back with more of our Making Connections show. We will be right back.
Right back. Bye-bye.
Do you want to advertise to thousands of Hispanics and non-Hispanics in Northwest Florida and Southern Alabama?
¿Quieres promover tu empresa y producto a miles de hispanos y no hispanos?
Connection is your most cost-efficient way to do so.
Conexión es tu solución.
We are the largest English and Spanish publication in our region. Our primary mission is to inform, guide, and educate our readers via interesting content.
Somos la publicación mensual en español y en inglés de la más grande distribución en toda la región. Además de las 5,000 copias en papel, tenemos activas las redes sociales, incluyendo Facebook, Twitter e Instagram, y también por Internet.
Conexión is your bridge to connect you to the growing Hispanic market in the region. Call us.
Llámanos.
Our guest is Marcie Ray Landreth, and Marcie is the executive director and therapist at the Set Free Refuge Incorporated, which is an entity here in the area that assists sexually exploited and human trafficked women and girls. How are you doing, Marcie? How are you doing this morning?
I am great. I'm super excited to be here.
Thank you for being with us. Thank you for being with us at Making Connections interview show. We are always glad to let people know about what's going on out there, the great, wonderful things that people like you are doing. And you deal with human trafficking, which is a very, very tragic situation that goes on throughout the world. And a lot of people may not know, but it is also very prevalent in our state. Our state is number 3, from what I understand, in the top 3 states where most of the human trafficking situations occur. And also Northwest Florida has understood that there's a lot of human trafficking going on. Let's start by you telling us a little bit about who Marcie Ray Landreth is. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Marcie.
Sure. So I was born in California in a small farming community. My family, they were migrants here and worked in the fields. My family had, or actually my grandfather, and I always like to tell this story because it's so indicative of who we are as people. My grandfather had a family in Mexico and then had a family in America. And I always tell people I'm part of the family that is here in America. So I still have aunts and uncles and various other family members in Michoacan. And so definitely really connected still with my family there.
Wonderful, wonderful. And so now you are in Florida. How long have you been here in the area itself?
Okay, so I actually grew up out here. So like I mentioned, I was born in California, lived there for up to most of my teen years. And then I moved to the area with my parents and then moved away, got married, and we lived in New York. I lived in Colorado for about 10 years. I lived in Arizona and then New Mexico, where I just came back from about 3 years ago in 2020.
I see. So that's what confused me a little, because you came back to the area here. So you're kind of a local girl that has been traveling in between, has been traveling throughout the United States and possibly the world, right?
I hope so one day, the world.
I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will. How did you get involved in this human trafficking? You have a lot of experience, obviously 15 years of experience doing nonprofit work, working with different marginalized and underrepresented communities from what I read about you. But now you have this entity called Set Free Refuge Incorporated that deals with human trafficking. And as we mentioned, helping trafficked women and girls come out of that, hopefully, right? How did you evolve into coming into the human trafficking piece from what you've done before? Was there a special occasion or a special situation, I should say, that led you to that?
You know, my heart has always been for helping, our community. It always has been. When I worked in Denver, I managed an organization called the Aurora Human Rights Organization, and we worked with undocumented individuals migrants, asylum seekers, lots of people that, in addition to, have experienced some form of trafficking. So I would say it's always kind of been something that I have been working with kind of like in the background. This time it's more upfront, and I would say that's kind of like the part in which I began to start really engaging is when we moved to New Mexico.
I understand. And Set Free Refuge itself came into being when? When did you start it?
So that also is a great question. And well, what happened was I was living down in New Mexico, and we were kind of like in the El Paso area, because El Paso and New Mexico and Texas is right next to each other. And
El Paso, like right there. El Paso, Texas, you mean, like where I'm from?
So El Paso, Texas, and kind of Las Cruces, New Mexico.
Las Cruces,
they're all kind of each other.
Anthony, New Mexico.
They're right there. And I ended up working at a rape crisis center on the border, and I was their crisis and advocacy coordinator there for several years. And that's really how I got involved more directly with providing services to trafficking victims and individuals that were being smuggled over. So from that, it's hard work. It's really, really hard work. The emotional toll, the just seeing people that look like you trying to have a better life and their experiences, it really, I think maybe took a toll, on myself and my family. And we just were like, what are we doing? Right. What are we doing? We really felt like we needed a change. And I never thought I'd come back to Florida, honestly. But then, 2020 COVID happens, and we're like, let's make a change. And that's what we did. We sold a lot of our stuff and put our house on the market down there, and just started heading east back to Florida.
Back home in a sense, but kind of starting anew, right?
Yes, absolutely. So when I moved here, I had no idea what I was going to be doing. I had applied for some jobs, but I think still in my heart, I knew that even though I didn't necessarily want to be like right there in that crisis mode, I knew I still wanted to help people that were victims of trafficking. I just wasn't exactly sure. And that's kind of how that started.
Well, with Florida being one of the top 3 with situations of human trafficking, I've been here so many years, and I have heard through the grapevine, and also actually have observed, in a sense, things that look iffy and appear to be, related to human trafficking. Is it a fact that Northwest Florida has a large amount of cases that are taking place?
That's kind of difficult to, quantify, but the reality is there's trafficking in so many different facets of our economy that people don't realize. And one of the biggest parts of our economy that trafficking is occurring is labor trafficking. And I want to bring that up because sex trafficking gets all of the focus,
right.
But labor trafficking is just as exploitive and is happening right here on our beaches, as well as the sex trafficking.
I am so glad that you brought that up, because as a matter of fact, it appears that the labor trafficking that is going on in certain areas of the United States, and I'm sure throughout the world, but obviously being here in the United States, that's what we're talking about. It is labor trafficking. It is the modern day slavery, as I've heard the term be described, because they're bringing people from other places, other nations, and then they find themselves working in conditions that they were not expecting, being used as human slave or as slaves in those working conditions. Go ahead and continue with that concept, because I think that's one of the misconceptions, as you said, that we always assume that human trafficking is related to the sex industry, which is obviously is. but there's a lot more than that, correct?
Absolutely. And recently I was participating in our state's kind of human trafficking task force state meeting, and they were talking about all of the different kinds of labor trafficking that was happening here in the state of Florida. And honestly, it just kind of blew my mind that what people were doing to other people in the forms of exploitation. And so the state is really trying to kind of crack down on that and bring awareness to it. Locally, we have an issue with Haitians being trafficked in the hotels to clean the hotels. We also have an issue with Filipino nurses. I know that, so these are women that are from the Philippines that are coming over to the US, given certain contracts. They said they're coming over here to work for a specific company, and they end up, one nurse to 60 patients, which we wouldn't do that to an American. They would know that that was an illegal practice. Another part of trafficking that we have here, which there was a case that they talked to us about, was there was a man in Mexico that was actually soliciting farm workers, thousands of farm workers, and they would, they get their housing, they'd get their visa to come here, and they'd end up like in this housing. They'd get on the bus and they'd say, "Oh, we need your passports." Well, they take everyone's passports. We need it for documentation. They wouldn't pay them. They had uninhabitable living conditions, and then they feel trapped because they can't tell anybody what is actually occurring to them. And then in the end, they ended up, and this is the part where I was like, "Oh my goodness, you have to be kidding me." The people that were, running the program, they sold the farm workers back their passports so that they could continue to get more money from them.
Is that right? Wow. Yes. Unfortunately, that happens, with people coming from other places that just want to come and work. Obviously, make the sacrifice of leaving their families behind, and then they find themselves in that situation of getting, treated like slaves and abused. And yes, they take away their passports so they can't go back and things like that. We had a situation here in 2009 that I may have mentioned the first time we spoke about, where totally legal individuals that came from South America, once they landed here in the United States, they were supposed to go out and work in certain locations that had to do with their careers, because it was a Department of State program. And they paid $3,000 to come. And when they landed in Louisiana somewhere, instead of going to work in these high-end places that they were supposed to work in, because they were coming here under a program that exposes them to our culture, their Spanish or their English and Spanish-speaking university students paid money under a totally legal visa. And then when they landed here, the story that they told me was they ended up working in our area, Northwest Florida, at McDonald's, and living 12-to-1 villa. And that case was in 2009. I'd ask everyone to Google that situation and just Google Chileans murdered at Miramar Beach.
Wow.
Chilean students murdered at Miramar Beach, because those individuals happened to have gone through a tragic hate crime situation in 2009, where 2 of those young people got murdered at Miramar Beach in the Destin area.
Oh, wow.
And it was a condition where they were abused once they got here legally, and they were treated and it was labor trafficking, like you mentioned. That's what it turned out to be honest with you. But anyway, so yeah, it's tragic situations that take place throughout the world, but we're not immune in our area for sure, because of all the tourism and everything that goes on in our area. That is one of the places where, or one of one of the areas where labor trafficking definitely takes place, from what I understand. Can you tell us a little bit about the organization itself? It's called Set Free Refuge. Let's talk about some of the services and the things that you do on behalf of the women that you serve.
Sure. So like we mentioned, Set Free Refuge originally was kind of founded to have a safe home. However, what we learned was a lot of the trafficking, especially the sexual exploitation that was happening here locally, was familial trafficking. So familial trafficking is when the parents or family members, caregivers are actually trafficking their children. You see that a lot in poorer nations. So that's like not uncommon in countries where there's a lot of high levels of poverty. And
Right.
since, you know, not all of Northwest Florida is equal, right? We have tons of money at the south ends of our counties, and at the higher ends of the counties, it's a lot of rural living and not a whole lot of work. So unfortunately, what people are doing are trafficking their children. And so from that, what we kind of learned and what we decided what for as an organization was to open up a home for 18 to 24-year-olds. And the purpose for that is in the cases where children are being trafficked, eventually, hopefully, right, they their situation is found out, they're taken from their parents, they're put into state custody. But when they turn 18, the state can't continue to hold them in a group home. They can't continue to hold them in some kind of lockdown facility at all. So what they literally do, and we've experienced this, was picking girls up on their 18th birthday, and you're saying happy birthday, right? And they're actually coming to a different kind of home situation. So that's what we decided to do. So have that home for 18 to 24-year-olds where they can continue to learn skills that can help them and teach them and train them into, you know, maybe different work opportunities. And so that they're not re-exploiting themselves, because because the reality is once an individual has been sexually abused as a child or sex trafficked or entered into that that kind of, it's almost like a negotiation with themselves. They know that's a way to make money. So they self-exploit. And then what happens is someone sees that, and then a trafficker or other people begin to exploit that individual or that child.
Yeah, that is totally true. That I'm sure that that occurs quite often, unless they have the opportunity to learn something new, or be counseled and or advised on. Hey, there's more to that. Let's do this. Let's teach you something. Let's give you the opportunity to learn about what your capabilities or abilities are, and things like that you're doing through that part of your program for the 18 to 24s. I'm going to show the website as you are talking. You continue to talk, Marcie, about the organization's services, if you don't mind, so people know that you do have a wonderful website. They can learn more about the organization. So go ahead and keep telling us about some of the services.
Okay, great. So like I said, we have that home for 18 to 24-year-olds. We do make some exceptions. So if there was a 26-year-old or 27-year-old that, say, is in that same kind of frame of mind, we will consider taking them as well. And so these are for young women that have been sexually exploited, are C-sex survivors, so that's commercially sexually exploited children. We also take them, if they have an HT designation somewhere through the state or through the police department or something.
What is an HT designation?
Human trafficking.
Okay, got it.
Yes. So human trafficking designation. And then we kind of have them for a year-long program, and we teach them skills. We give them counseling, support groups. really kind of all the wraparound services. We help them with getting their GEDs. We help them with getting, higher education. We help them in a bunch of different kinds of ways, getting their driver's license. Not all of them have had the opportunity to get their driver's license. We've just really kind of take it a case by case on whomever or whatever the issue is with the individual, and then just try to make sure that all of their needs are being met, and then we help them get those needs met.
There's also listing here in your website about support groups. What is that?
Yes, so we do have support groups. We have one running right now, or actually we just finished up our sexual assault support group. So we call it Warrior Spirit Support Group. They meet on Wednesdays from 5 to about 6:15 in person, and we have a virtual option. It's just an opportunity for women that have been sexually assaulted, and we open that up because not all trafficking victims recognize that they are a trafficking victim. And it really just gives that extra level of support for people in our community, because I didn't just want to be an organization that helped a small specific grouping of people. I wanted to be able to make that available to a bunch of different individuals. And since we know, and the statistics go back and forth between 1 in 4 and 1 in 6 of women that have been sexually exploited, I just wanted to make sure that that was open and available for all women in our community. Thank you. And then the other part of our programming is that we have a mental health portion of our programming. And basically, we serve sexually exploited, human trafficked, and sexually abused individuals that are in need of counseling. And then we do that on a sliding scale. So
outstanding. So that you're able to help people regardless of their condition economically and things like that. As I was going through your website, obviously I saw, the staff that you have, and I couldn't help but obviously noticing your chairman of the board, Skip North, I believe, has a close connection to the organization. I watched a nice video that told us about that, tells the story about a book that he wrote. Can you tell me about Skip North?
Sure. Orth. It's Orth. So some information on Skip. So like I mentioned, Skip, I grew up out here, and Skip had been a family friend for a very long time. He actually was a pastor of the church my family attended when I was growing up. But like I mentioned, I moved away for 20 years, had not connected with him through the whole entire time. And when we decided to move back, my mom was still in contact with the Orths. And we ended up moving into one of their rental properties. And this is kind of like, going back to our story of how we started. I was sitting around the table with him and his wife, my husband and my mother, and just saying, all the different things that I have done and my passion for helping, sexually exploited and human trafficked women and girls. And then I just kind of sat there, and I thought, I was like, oh my goodness, what the heck did I just do? Selling everything I own, showing up in Navarre without a job, and we're in the middle of COVID.
Beautiful Navarre.
Yes, beautiful Navarre. But I think like the whole, like the weight just like laid on my shoulders of like, oh my gosh, I left my whole life.
Right.
And
you didn't know why.
No, I didn't know why at all. I just like internally knew. And if you're a spiritual person, I'm like, I think God was just like, okay, go out, Marcie, you'll follow. And I did, right? So I'm sitting around the table. I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I just do? And I said, I'm like, I have no idea why I'm here. I have no idea. And Skip's wife looked at him and told me, he knows why you're here. And I was like, what? I had no idea I had written a book. I had no idea any of his story or anything. And then that's when he begins to tell me that he had this dream. he had written this book. He'd been active in, some other local nonprofits in our community that were trying to start safe houses. And we just sat there and talked through what this could look like. And he's like, would you be willing to work with me in doing this? And I said, sure. And that's really how it got started. I think, his passion and my passion kind of came together. I have all the actual work experience in working with survivors.
That's
and,
right.
He had the passion to help them. And we came together, through a lot of the portions of his business, Father and Son Pest and Lawn Solutions, goes to help the organization, especially that seed money when we were starting and building the house and doing all the things. So that's really how we've been connected, and just really thankful for everything that has occurred.
The old saying of God works in mysterious ways, which a lot of people use. I don't agree with that statement. I think they're mysterious to us because we don't find out until we find out that's where he needed us, or that's where he wanted to place us to do whatever it is that you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
If it's good. If it's
yes.
good, if it's good, and if it's wholesome, and if it's going to help somebody, and you are a spiritual person and you are a believer, I believe the Lord is eventually going to place you right where you need to be, and then he brings the other people there too, and now something comes up that is good. And I think that's exactly what happened to you. I'll tell you my testimony one of these days of how I ended up in Northwest Florida, and I know God was there.
Yeah, well, I think when you're open and you listen and you truly have a heart to help people, I think God hears that and knows that and says, okay, like I'll move the mountains for you. Just show up.
I completely 1,000% agree with that. And it is so great to hear that story because I'm sure, together as a team, along with your staff and everything else that is coming, because there's more coming, I'm sure. Will all be for the good and to help as many people as you can. Can you tell us of any events or any activities that you have coming up that people need to know about to help your organization, volunteering? What kind of things can we close up with that people should know about the organization and what you may need from the community, because it's all about community?
Well, of course, we are in the process of moving into a larger house. So last year we opened up our first home, and it was I want to say it was like a little bit of a pilot project. We're like, okay, we're going to do this thing. And then we realized, oh, wow, we're doing this thing. We need a bigger house. So we just got a bigger house. We're in the process of furnishing it. We've received a very generous donation from the Keller Williams down in Navarre. It helped us buy furniture. We're getting mattresses from different organizations. We really are kind of pulling together the community to get different items for our house. But how, everyone else, if you don't have, $5,000-$6,000 to give us, go to our Amazon wish list. And you know what? If you could buy us a thing of toilet paper or some tissues or printer paper, or a pillow, that would be great.
Yeah, all those things help. Exactly.
Absolutely. I think we need dish soap, just small stuff like that. All of it adds up, and when we don't have to purchase it, it means we can put that money towards paying for other services for the client. So if they want to go to our website, you can visit our Facebook page and also our Instagram, and there are links on there to our Amazon wish list.
Yes, you got a couple of good websites. Obviously, a good website, and definitely a nice Facebook page that people can go to. We're going to push it out as much as we can here as we prepare the final version of this show and push it out. And hopefully people will learn more about your organization and the wonderful work that you do and help you, because this is a wonderful community. It's a very generous community, and once they find out about you and they attach themselves to whatever their likes or passions are, there's a lot of good people out here that'll help you out, I'm sure. like they have already. But the more, the better, as we say,
Yes.
right? In the nonprofit world.
Yes.
Any closing remarks, any closing comments or things that you want to tell the people that are watching about what you all do and
Sure. Sure. So I better mention this because our fundraising coordinator would probably be like, Marcie didn't say, that we're having a gala. So in January of 2024, we will be hosting our annual gala. Last year, we had a very large gala with over 150 people, and we're planning on, yes, we were pretty amazed. I definitely am thanking God for that.
Nice.
And so if you're interested in being a sponsor, if you're a local business and you would like to be a sponsor, please reach out to us on our Facebook page or calling our number. You can always reach out to info@setfreerefuge.org. The other thing that I wanted
what is the number, Marcie? Go ahead and say the number if you want to.
So the actual phone number is 850-463-5191.
Got it. Okay. All right. So any interesting individuals out there that want to sponsor this wonderful organization, companies that want to also get their name out there for their gala in January, make sure that you contact them. Go ahead. You were going to say something else.
Yes. And I think this is just geared towards the listeners in general. The reality is that we all have individual needs that may or may not be met. And we each have things that we can give out to others. And when you give out to others, then your needs will be met. So just think of that as you give to people, as you give to organizations, and as you give out, that's your talent and your treasure to other people, you receive so much more from that. So I love what I do, and I love being able to help my community, and it is overwhelmingly fulfilling. And I'm just so thankful that I get to be here with all of you guys.
Well, thank you very much for being with us, Marcie. Our guest has been Marcie Ray Landreth, the Executive Director and a therapist also at the Set Free Refuge Incorporated. They help exploited women that have gone through the human trafficking situations, and to help them come out of that situation and hopefully find a much better life ahead for them. And they are a local organization. That is also very important to say. Marcie happens to live in Navarre, and so they take care of people throughout the region here. And we want to help. We want to thank you for being with us, Marcie, and may God continue to bless you, your staff, and your nonprofit organization, because you are doing the Lord's work through it. And we hope you get a lot more support. And I know you already have some great support, but the more the better, as we like to say. I like to tell people all the time, good things always welcome.
Yes. Yes.
Muchísimas gracias. Thank you very much. And we'll be seeing you out there.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jason Arnold with the Ride On Commuter Services Program, and we're here to help you get started with a bike commute. Ride On is a quick and secure way to find your best commuting options. Using your home and work addresses, you can connect with neighbors and colleagues who bike, carpool, vanpool, or take the bus. Are you an experienced cyclist who knows the best routes through the city? Need help learning the ins and outs of bicycle commuting? Whatever your situation, connecting with fellow cyclists can help get you cycling to work, school, or wherever you're heading. We all know there are many benefits to cycling, like you're unlikely to get stuck in traffic so you won't be late. Cycling is good for your health and well-being, and it's fun. It's cheaper than driving, paying for parking charges, or catching the bus or train. It's fast and efficient, especially during the morning and evening rush hours. It's good for the environment. Pedal power is the cleanest form of energy. And it's a great stress reliever. Getting outdoors and exercising is proven to improve stress levels. The Ride On team can provide personalized one-on-one support services by experienced transportation professionals who can help you learn to ride safely. The Ride On program is simple. It matches you with other cyclists or commuters in your area. You can start sharing rides to work, school, or a local event. Build your profile online at www.rideontogether.org or download the Ride On Together app from your Android or Apple device. Registering for Ride On is free, and you could get Ride On swag for your commute. The best part, commuters who bike to work at least 3 times a week also qualify for the Emergency Ride Home program. This program gives you a voucher for a free ride home in bad weather or other emergencies. Whether you bike for the environment, your health, or to save money, Ride On can help you reach your commuting goals.
We are back. Aquí estamos de vuelta, mira, en la sesión que te encanta y es ¿qué es lo que está pasando en nuestra región? Mira,
sí, pues
que aquí no se hace nada en estas regiones. ¿Qué tú opinas?
No sé quién dice eso, pero es pura mentira porque hay un montón de cosas que hacer. Solo entrando a la página personal o a la página de Facebook, ahí en la derecha, yo veo como 5 o 6 cosas alrededor de nosotros, pero como siempre vamos a hablar de algunas cositas que nosotros estamos participando o apoyando y luego ya después les ponemos unos flyers de los eventos en sí y algunos otros también. Entonces, cuéntanos un poquito de qué viene para ti. ¿En qué partes estás participando?
En esta sección de qué es lo que está pasando aquí, qué es lo que está pasando allá, tenemos que empezamos en Mobile, Alabama. Como tú sabes, ya mismo está por ahí el mes de la hispanidad y se votan los festivales hispanos por toda nuestra región. Y como yo estoy aquí representando a Mobile, Alabama, pues ya tú sabes que este es nuestro 3er año del Mobile Latin Fest. Pero yo te tengo una sorpresa, David y público que nos escucha. Este año nuestro festival va a ser 2 días, así que
wow, excelente. 2-day festival in Mobile, 2-day Latin Fest, ¿verdad?
Ese es así, Mobile Latin Fest in the downtown for Mobile. Y mira, 2 días, el viernes 13 de octubre, bien, vamos a estar en el downtown, en la Catedral Square, junto al Art Fest, que se celebra el segundo viernes, ¿verdad?, de cada mes, como todos los meses. Pues el Mobile Latin Fest se une al Art Fest el viernes 13 de octubre y también continuamos la fiesta en otra plaza el sábado 14 de octubre. Así que no te puedes perder este festival con buena música, comida internacional, diferentes vendors y por supuesto allí estaremos reportando de qué es lo que está pasando aquí.
Excelente. Dame las fechas otra vez porque no te escuché. Ese es mi error, obviamente.
Tenemos
¿Qué son las fechas de tu festival?
Viernes 13 de octubre y sábado 14 de octubre.
Wow. So your event is going to be the closing of Hispanic Heritage Month. As everybody knows, Hispanic Heritage Month is from 15 September to 15 October. So the Latin Fest in Mobile is going to be the one that closes out the regional activities for Hispanic Heritage Month. 13 October, 14 October, downtown Mobile, Alabama. They had over 10,000 or so people last year. So a lot more will be there this year because it's going to be a 2-day event. So andan buscando vendors. You guys are looking for vendors, sponsors, and everything, ¿verdad?
Estamos buscando vendors, sponsors que quieran participar. En realidad, mira, desde el año pasado hay lista de espera porque el primer año esto fue todo un éxito y el downtown de Mobile registró 20,000 personas en este festival.
Wow.
Gracias a todos.
20,000 people were registered as attending the last couple of festivals. Go ahead.
Gracias a todo el mundo por su apoyo, así que yo los espero este año con tu bandera, porque tú sabes que entre el marketing y la cosa, yo le canto a la gente, saca tu bandera, saca tu bandera. Así que te quiero ver allí con tu bandera en la mano, destacando cuál es tu nacionalidad, porque de eso se trata.
Exactamente, y pongan atención a todo lo demás que está sucediendo alrededor. Obviamente el mes de la hispanidad es algo bien importante para nosotros como hispanos, mostrar nuestra cultura, conocernos hasta entre nosotros mismos, porque no tenemos no tenemos todas las mismas tradiciones, ¿no? Entonces, yo sabemos también que nuestra amiga Geraldine Martínez, yo estoy segura vas a estar ahí. Geraldine Martínez, que es la líder de la Fundación Boricuas Ausentes Incorporated, van a revivir el Festival de la Salsa. Se llama el Latin Salsa Festival. Ese festival va a ser el 29 de julio. No va a ser dentro del mes de la hispanidad, pero es una tradición para Puerto Rico hacer cosas en junio o julio, en el verano. Y este festival es el 29 de julio en Maritime Park, en Pensacola. Va a ser un festivalazo que Geraldine está preparando para que toda nuestra gente boricua vaya para allá, y también todos los demás que no somos boricuas, pero queremos mucho a nuestros hermanos boricuas, y la comida sabrosa, obviamente, ¿no? Ese va a ser un festivalazo también. Tú vas a estar ahí también, ¿verdad?
Para allá voy a estar participando con la emisora de radio que estoy participando todos los miércoles, la hora del sabor, en donde también destacamos qué es lo que está pasando en la región para seguir, viste, la conexión por aquí, la conexión para allá. Así que allí estaremos, y si tú quieres ir, bailar salsa, pasarla bien, comer rico, con una buena gastronomía, ve al Festival de la Salsa y apoya todos estos festivales y todas estas iniciativas que estamos realizando diferentes personas para ti, comunidad que me escucha. Así que no te quedes en el mueble. Salte del mueble, salte de la
casa. Aquí definitivamente, como siempre, nosotros apoyamos todo lo bueno que existe allá, y somos apoyadores por varios años. Conexión Media Group siempre ha apoyado el Festival de Salsa de los Boricuas. Este año vamos a apoyar con lo más que podamos, obviamente, según que nuestra amiga Geraldine nos ofrezca. Ya nos dio permiso para algo especial que vamos a proveer para este festival por medio de nuestra empresa, porque estamos patrocinando la visita. We are sponsoring the visit of Mrs. Florida America. Her name is Tatiana Diaz. She is originally from California. We recently did an interview with Tatiana. She is Mrs. Florida America. She's getting ready to go to Las Vegas in August to participate in the Mrs. America contest. And we're going to bring her to the Latin Salsa Festival on the 29th. She's going to make a special presentation there, and she's going to stay for an additional day, because we're going to have a luncheon in which we're going to invite people that are involved in raising awareness about human trafficking. Let me show you a quick video of a segment of the interview we did with Tatiana. Tú, Kismet, nos vas a apoyar en eso, siendo la acompañante de Tatiana, lo más que puedas, cuando la traigamos.
Claro que sí, que sí.
Mira,
so my main platform focuses on human trafficking, the recovery, is helping any victims or anyone who's really had any trauma in their life just get through that and get to a better place in their life. I work with a couple different nonprofits.
Esa es la entrevista que le hicimos a Tatiana hace poco, ya la sacamos al aire, está en YouTube, the interviews on YouTube. She's talking there about her platform, la plataforma que ella tiene durante su reino, es para concientizar a la gente acerca del tráfico humano, que es lo que en este programa tuvimos con Marcie Landreth, la directora ejecutiva de Set Free Refuge. Estamos tratando de apoyar ese tema por medio de traer a Tatiana, que esa es parte de su plataforma, la entrevista que le acabamos de hacer a Marcie Landreth, que es también latina. Marcie Rey, se llama Marcie Rey Landreth, ella también es de California, de herencia mexicana, y es la directora ejecutiva, como ya vieron, de Set Free Refuge. Entonces ahí está la conexión. Vamos a patrocinar la visita de Tatiana. Un gran amigo también de Conexión Media Group nos dio 2 días en su Airbnb ahí. Entonces ya tienes dónde quedarte si te quieres quedar también por 2 noches.
Qué bello, me encanta.
Vas a acompañar a Tatiana lo más que puedas para ayudarme en eso, por si acaso no puedo estar ahí por esta cuestión del viaje. Pero claro, ya todo está planificado. Muchas gracias por hacer esa parte. Again, apoyemos todos los eventos buenos que existen en nuestro alrededor. El Festival de Mobile, que es lanzado por la American Business, ¿cómo se llama la asociación? ABA.
Hispanic Business Association for the Gulf Coast, aquí en Mobile, Alabama, con la presidenta Leida Javier. Ellos son los que organizadores, ¿verdad?, de este evento del Mobile Latin Fest, en colaboración a muchas personas que somos voluntarios y estamos ahí porque queremos hacer la diferencia, ¿verdad? Y destacar la cultura, la gastronomía y todas las tradiciones que tenemos, porque mira, lo más lindo que es de estar donde uno está es que aquí somos multiculturales.
Definitivamente. Así es. Bien importante lo que acabas de decir, amiga, porque también obviamente en el mes de la hispanidad, empezando el mes de la hispanidad, tenemos a nuestra amiga Mercedes Ferris, que está haciendo su Hispanic Street Festival. Ese va a ser el 16 de septiembre en la calle principal, una de las calles principales de Fort Walton Beach. Se va a cerrar la calle Ferry Road, como se ha hecho por los últimos dos años con el Ciclovía Street Festival. La diferencia este año es que va a ser un festival latino y punto este año. Los últimos 2 años fue una combinación bien bonita con un proyecto que se llama Ciclovía, que es algo fuera de serie también, que se originó en Colombia. But this year, el evento va a ser Hispanic Festival, Hispanic Streets Festival, 16 September in downtown Fort Walton Beach. That is organized by Mercedes Ferris, nuestra amiga Mercedes, que hace una gran labor también con sus proyectos, obviamente lanzando este festival hispano en la calle. Déjame enseñar un poquito también del video de ese, porque queremos darle publicidad a todos nuestros amigos que están haciendo unas cosas excelentes en esta región. Ahí está el Facebook page del Hispanic Street Festival, como ven, September 16, 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. And again, she is actively looking right now for sponsors and vendors and entertainers. So si quieres participar en el Hispanic Street Festival para lanzar el mes de la hispanidad aquí en la región, el 16 de septiembre contacta o entra a Facebook para que veas todo lo que está promoviendo ahí Mercedes. También van a tener grupos de todo tipo, variados, cantantes, solistas y todo lo que un festival latino significa, porque nuestros festivales no son aburridos. Ahí no te aburres, no te puedes aburrir en un festival latino. Si estás aburrido,
no, porque,
pues
mira,
no tienes remedio.
La alegría, se destaca.
Si tú vas a un festival latino, if you go to a Hispanic festival and you are bored, there's something wrong with you. Algo te pasa. ¿Ok? Porque te van a poner a bailar ahí si te ven aburrido. Alguna latina te va a sacar a bailar nada más para que te quite lo aburrido.
Para que
igual con las mujeres también. Una mujer aburrida ahí, algún hombre la va a sacar a bailar nada más para que le quite, que le ponga una sonrisa. Así somos los latinos.
Así es.
Y va a haber muchas otras actividades también, como tú sabes, nuestras fundaciones, Hispanic Community Services, como les dije, Boricuas Ausentes, también es una fundación sin fin de lucro, y nuestra fundación United for a Good Cause también el 14 de octubre. Esto no es un festival, es algo especial que hacemos para la juventud, porque nuestra misión es para promover el espíritu de servicio, de motivación, de filantropía para los jóvenes, y tenemos un invitado fuera de serie que nos acaba de decir que va a venir el doctor ingeniero Felipe de la Peña, el fundador y presidente de la empresa AEXA, una empresa que hace cosas fuera de serie para la NASA, para el Departamento de Defensa. Acabo de hablar con el señor Fernando hace unas horas, si se puede decir, y con gran gusto me ha dicho que va a venir para platicar con los jóvenes durante esa conferencia de liderazgo que la fundación United for a Good Cause, que es la única fundación que se formó aquí hace varios años por hispanos, porque ya tenemos muchísimos años y ahora ya existen otras más, como la de nuestra amiga Hispanic Community Services, porque todo tiene que empezar con algo. Y ahí se pone la semillita. Y ahí vamos a informar un poco más acerca de eso. Entonces, ¿qué? ¿No hay nada que hacer? There's nothing to do in this area.
Definitivamente no te vas a aburrir. Sigue las páginas de Making Connection, sigue mis páginas como Kismet Meléndez y te vas a estar enterando de todo lo que está pasando en nuestra región, porque mira, desde New Orleans hasta Tallahassee. Hay muchas cosas por qué hacer. Mira, talleres educativos, festivales, networking, mira, talleres para los jóvenes. ¿Qué más tú puedes pedir? Educación y bienestar para ti, comunidad, amigo y amiga que me escucha. Así que si estas cosas te gustan y te interesan, comparte esta información con otro, danos shares, danos like y ayúdanos a crecer y a impartir la comunicación efectiva.
Well, as I always say, all good things must come to an end. We've reached the end of our program for today. I know we've been blabbing all over the place and talking about a lot of different things, but it's because we're excited. A lot of good things are happening, and we want to make sure that we promote all of those good things that our friends are doing or people we don't know, because that's what we're all about. We're all about promoting multicultural kind of things, networking things, connection things, and we're not the only ones doing that. Obviously, we love doing it, but there's a lot of other people doing some great things, ¿verdad, señora Kismet? Estamos como periquitos, le estaba diciendo al público, obviamente ya lo sabe porque nos están escuchando, pero estamos cerrando aquí el programa. Entonces, ¿qué palabritas tienes para cerrar?
Mira, lamentablemente hemos llegado al final de este programa que ha sido hoy bien constructivo, todos son constructivos, pero hemos dado tanta información tan valiosa que es valiosa para este momento y lo futuro, porque te estamos adelantando lo que está por llegar. Así que con este pensamiento agradece lo que está en el presente, en el pasado y en el futuro. Y recuerda que te mantengas conectado a nuestras redes sociales, a Making Connection, a mis páginas y todo lo que estamos haciendo, dale like, apoya. Y si tú quieres participar y ser parte de este gran equipo y quieres reportar lo de tu región, qué es lo que está pasando o tienes alguna idea, ¿quieres participar con nosotros? Contáctanos. ¿A dónde lo pueden contactar, David? Cuéntale.
Nos pueden contactar, obviamente, por medio de nuestro correo electrónico, conexionflorida@gmail.com. Conexionflorida@gmail.com. Conexionflorida@gmail.com is our primary email address for anything that has to do with Conexión Media Group. You can also obviously reach us through social media. Making Connections has its own page, or the Conexión Media Group page. Send us messages through Messenger and everything else that you can use to reach us. WhatsApp, personally me buscas ahí David Triana o Kismet Meléndez, influencer, y nos puedes contactar. Puedes anunciarte por medio de Making Connections también. Tenemos espacio para anuncios, como tú lo ves al final, cuando sale el programa. Así es que si te quieres promover por medio de Making Connections, llámanos y también te ponemos ahí con tu video promocional o un anuncio que te podamos producir, ¿verdad?
Claro que sí. Así que nos vemos pronto, mantente conectado y será hasta el próximo capítulo de ¿qué es lo que está pasando en nuestra región? ¿Qué es lo que pasa aquí?
We'll see you next time. God bless you. Take care of yourselves. Be safe. And we'll see you next time.
I'm blessing.